don't like to be put in the position of questioning counsel, but as I read the statutes, I believe that the tax rate on the district can be reduced by the district alone without going to the owners, the vote of the owners. Now, council can check me on that, of course, and come back and either confirm her position or clarify it. But as I understand the ballot issue as it was put to the owners, it was in the form of 1% being the maximum that could be imposed by the district. I believe that it can be reduced, my own opinion, that it can be reduced, and that does not require a vote of the owners. As far as Mr. King's very gracious offer to reduce the face amount of the CID, I would offer to the board that the CID amount could be reduced to 10% of what it is currently, and at the current rate of revenue generation, the CID would never get paid off.
Okay, but you have to keep in mind, though, this is the ad hoc committee, not the board. So just...
I'm sorry?
We just have to keep in mind we're the ad hoc committee, not the board.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, this was supposed to be a list of the pros and cons.
Absolutely.
If it's going to be a list of the pros and cons, then Mr. King ought to offer his pros. Anyone else ought to offer their cons, and it would, and that should be it. But I mean, we have been debating here this one item or issue here for quite some time at this point, and things are dragging down, and there's really
interesting
still at the
observation.
same point.
Interesting observation.
Let me expand on the numbers. Perhaps Mr. King hasn't had the opportunity to go through it this time. At 10%, at $250,000, the bank would charge a developer an interest for that loan. At 8%, that would be, what, $15,000 in interest? $20,000 in interest. Plus $10,000 in fees on an annual basis. That's more than the development at this point is throwing out, because it is only generating 25. So even at an amount of $250,000 base amount instead of 2.5, this CID that would never pay off based on its current rate of revenue generation. So it's a great structure, but unfortunately, it's only less than 20% occupied. So, there's the economy being what it is, that's fine. But the other item is, I guess the bank has had the project now for a year, and we only have one tenant or two tenants in, I guess Edward Jones and Yo-Yo.
It's Yo My Goodness yogurt.
Yo My Goodness. At that rate, it would take another 5 years for that development to be fully occupied. And it's not the bank's fault, but it's the economy. And the other point is the original owners, if the tenants were there to lease the property, I'm sure that's what that was their objective. That was their whole intent for being and putting the project out. To expect that the bank's going to do a better job with it, I don't know if that's reasonable to
Alderman McGowl, if you want to, I'd like to respond and then hear your response. Your figures are based upon current economic conditions, correct?
I'm going on the basis of the current rate of revenue generation.
Right.
That's correct.
Right. And admittedly, the project isn't even close to being maxed out in terms of the tenancy. So it's going to generate substantial more revenue if additional retail clients are put in there. So your long-term projections at current rates are not valid, unless you'd like to correct me on that.
I stated my.
I'd just like to know.
I stated that my my projections were based on the current rate of revenue.
Okay,
I stated that out front,
okay. So you're saying it will never pay off based upon
based
current
on the
rates?
current rate of revenues.
Right. Well, I mean,
It would not
it's
pay
not
off.
going to remain 40% occupied for the next 10 years. So.
Might go up, it might go down.
You gotta, if you're going to compare apples and apples as opposed to apples and oranges, so.
It could go up, it could go down.
I doubt that it's going to get less than 40%.
I would hope not.
Wow, wait.
Now, will you just sit down and shut up and let everybody make some friends? Can we just do a list of pros and cons?
That's what we're
That's what we're doing.
discussing here. If you
Well,
could wait with
but-
us for just a moment, please.
Thank you.
Listening to you.
List them first and discuss later.
I got a good one today. Carlinville Courthouse. It was built in 1894. They paid it off in 2010. They don't understand it. The people I talk to, they're not shopping here.
Well, Alderman, if I might, just good closing, because the one issue that has not been raised that I think needs to be put on the table, which is, I've been here a number of times asking and willing to collaborate with the city to try to get this thing resolved. And I remain willing to sit down with Rob and Shannon and Jim and go through this agreement and revise it and massage it and get it to a point where it's acceptable. The alternative is not an attractive one. And I'll give you my opinion as to what the alternative is, and then you can get that from Rob and Shannon as well. But what the alternative is litigation. And that's let me use a legal term, that's stupid. Why do we want to go to litigation on this? I don't want to go to litigation.
That's a good
It will
business
definitely be
partner.
one of our cons.
It's absolutely ludicrous to force this thing into a courtroom and have a judge decide the fate of this SID district, which I have an opinion as to where it's going to come out, and all it's going to do is cost money. It's going to cost the city money, because the city's going to have to hire its own counsel. The SID district's going to have to hire its own counsel. The bank's going to have to hire counsel, and they're going to have to litigate. I mean, and you get nowhere in court. I mean, that's why we're willing to sit down and try to work this out. It cries out for a reasonable contractual solution, not a litigated solution.
I think with regards to the lawsuit, I think we've talked. I think you've made that comment twice that we would have to hire outside counsel. At the last meeting that I think you were at, I asked Mr. Goldman how we would be represented if the bank, in fact, sued the SID district and/or the city, however that works. And I thought, Mr. Goldman, when you responded that you and/or your firm would represent us and that it wouldn't be an outside counsel.
Yeah, but I think he is referring to me as an outside counsel.
outside counsel.
Oh, okay.
Not, yeah.
The point is, it's just going to cost everybody money.
Yeah, I will be able